It's Disruptive FM. Disruptive FM. Disruptive FM. Welcome to Disruptive FM, where business and culture collide. Sponsored by Microsoft and Branding Strategy Insider. With your host, Jeffrey Colon.
Okay, here we go.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Disruptive FM. Lucky number 13 for the week ending Friday the 3rd of August, 2018. I'm Jeffrey Colon, your host for the next quarter hour as we examine the culture of business and check out what's happening at the intersection of tech, media, marketing, and popular culture. Ready? Here we go.
Here are this week's trending topics. Big Cheesy Media.
Digital players like Amazon and Facebook solely use their own platforms when they want to scale a message, right? Nope. They turn to traditional TV ads or full-page print ads in the New York Times when they want to do that. So you think you only have CNN, MSNBC, and Fox News to turn to in this era of media fragmentation? Think again. Last week, Cheddar TV, which literally started as a live stream feed on Facebook with a single camera on the New York Stock Exchange, announced that it was launching a cable TV network that would be on, wait, the what? Yup, cable television. The traditional media. We call this trend inversion. You start digital, you blow up, but then you go backwards onto the legacy channels or platforms that you were ignoring in the first place for, scale. Cheddar is sort of using the formula Warby Parker used. They launched online but now have physical boutiques, or that Amazon used. Sell things online but also in brick and mortar stores. Is the future of digital media traditional cable? Well, we went to the source for the answer. Melissa Rosenthal is Executive Vice President of Cheddar Inc. We spoke to her earlier this week via Skype about why they are making this strategic move.
So when we built the company, building it as a post-cable network made the most sense. There were no players in that space kind of rivaling what we did, especially reaching all of these OTT viewers and platforms. So that was the way that we wanted to build the company and position ourselves in market. That being said, there are still a lot of eyeballs that we don't capture with OTT. And while there's a huge shift happening from the people that have cable subscriptions, specifically millennials and Gen Z, it's not going to zero overnight. So we're video and we're doing both OTT and cable, and we're able to lean into the new while still grabbing customers wherever they are. And I see it as we're almost platform agnostic. We're built for the future, but we're still available today. And I think a lot of these markets that this NCTC deal allows us to hit, it opens us up to around 8 million new subscribers who typically wouldn't be able to, receive or even know about Cheddar. So it's not like there's a lot of overlap in who this is reaching, and where we are today. It really is kind of another wide open space. And it's really, it's industry awareness in addition to distribution. We're now far more known and will continue to be known by rural subscribers. So that's kind of where this deal comes from. I think it was really interesting to us because this is a market that we would never be able to capture with OTT today. To kind of put it in perspective, out of 125 million households in the U.S. and about 90-ish million of them still have a cable subscription, it made a lot of sense to still think about those viewers. But, we're never going to get into the mindset of like, how do we program for them or how do we reach them today? Because we just see the shift happening, with cord cutters, and that's where we want to be. So, I think, there's certainly the comparisons that you can draw between a digital company going into physical retail spaces. And I think maybe this is our version of that. But the focus is never going to be, how do we now become a full cable network that is, where the priority doesn't lie on growing OTT. That's first and foremost what we're focused on every single day.
That was Cheddar's EVP, Melissa Rosenthal, who joined us earlier this week to talk about their strategy when it comes to using inversion, going on to legacy media platforms to promote your brand and reach more people.
Trending topics on DFM. Instagram flop.
There's a trend and it's picking up steam. That's right. We call it Instagram flop pages. Taylor Lorenz of The Atlantic wrote about it, and here's how it works and why it's so big. Teenagers who are looking to talk about big issues, well, they've turned to Instagram. Specifically, they've turned to flop accounts, pages that are collectively managed by several teens, many of them devoted to discussions of hot button topics, gun control, abortion, immigration, President Donald Trump, LGBTQ issues, YouTubers, breaking news, viral memes. As flop accounts grow by the thousands as teens seek refuge from the wider web, many of the internet's worst dynamics have begun to duplicate themselves on Instagram. Some flop accounts are rife with polarization, drama, and misinformation. All the while, an increasing number of teens are turning to these types of accounts for news, seeing them as more reliable and trustworthy than traditional media. Could this new form of news become a trend and the new norm for our future adults? Well, it's not really the news. It's diagnosis, sort of like what we do here on DFM. A moment of making mainstream ideas more woke. I encourage you all listening to check out these flop accounts, follow them, and see what the triggers are. There are countless lessons about marketing, communications, design, advertising, and the social commentary that goes along with this news format. These flop accounts show the human condition in ways that no silly brand narrative ever can. Watching young people pick apart the news with raw discourse, and make no mistake about it, it is very, very raw, may seem terrifying when you think about it from the authoritative point of view, but then evolves into a moment that we can all hope for. Yes, awareness. Young people are paying attention to the news. WTF. This isn't the Daily Show. This is the news, hardcore news, and they're discussing it. And yes, they're tearing it apart with all the snark of a TMZ report. At least embrace the ethos of what is being discussed in this Atlantic article. These kids don't think the news is fake. They just don't agree with the narrative being generated by a for-profit media system. That is something we should all continue to question.
Trending topics on DFM. Mom and Pop-Up.
So physical retail is dead, or at least on its back and kicking, because everybody shops online now, right? Wrong. 90% of sales still happen in brick and mortar stores. Wait, what? Actually, there seems to be a resurgence in physical retail once again. Why? Well, a robust economy for starters. But the truth is, across so many product categories, we like to shop. It is in our DNA as a society. We like to see, feel, smell, try on, and kick the tires on the goods we're buying. So why all the recent hype then about the retail apocalypse? 2 words: customer experience. Overall, the customer experience at physical retail is antiquated and terrible. It deserves to die. Our capitalist mindset has created a sprawl of sterile, homogeneous stores, eroded customer service, and placed all the emphasis on the transaction. Shut up and take my money. But things are starting to shift, and a familiar disruptor is rocking the boat: the pop-up shop. Now, of course, the pop-up concept has been around for a long time. Shout out to our friend John Bond, who pioneered them long ago. But typically, pop-ups have always felt very ad hoc and haphazard. A pop singer releasing a new album throws up a surprise merch store in some shuttered building. Stuff like that. Now, however, the Financial Times is reporting that the model is beginning to mature. What previously felt more like a PR stunt is becoming normalized and a viable retail experience. More especially, agencies are now emerging to help would-be retailers connect with short-term storefronts, disrupting the commercial real estate space in the process, kind of like a mashup of Airbnb and WeWork. Brokers like Appear here offer terms as short as a week up to a year or longer on a flexible pay-as-you-go model. Now, who does this benefit? Everyone. Clearly, it helps smaller brands who otherwise could never commit to a long lease and could never afford the millions up front on a retail footprint. It also helps direct-to-consumer digital brands, large and small, who want the legitimacy of brick and mortar to enhance their online business. It even helps large brands who want the agility to test out new markets without a long-term commitment. This even helps the landlords because, as FT reports, the yields are higher. Yes, they will have to reconfigure their model and have more of an appetite for risk. But there are way more brands that will want to dip their toe in the water rather than diving into a 20-year lease. Look for the mom and pop-up to be the new normal in retail.
It's Disruptive FM.
Communications.
The Business Culture Podcast.
They say if you listen closely, you can hear the sound of today.
You're listening to Disruptive FM, the culture of business. I'm Jeffrey Colon. In the background, new music from Rocket Empire with a track called Feeler, a title we approve of. Rocket Empire, part of the family of artists from one of our favorite labels, San Francisco's Ohm Records. Ohm, still doing it after all these years. Hey, a reminder, DFM is social. Connect with us on Instagram or Twitter @DisruptiveFM. Connect with me personally on Instagram or Twitter @DJGEOFFE. Also enable our Alexa skill. Just say, Alexa, open Disruptive FM. For our weekly top 3 on the radar trends, top 10 music chart, top 5 book list, and the most current episode. Yup, we're like an app, but just for voice. And of course, we are proudly sponsored by Microsoft and Branding Strategy Insider. For more in-depth analysis, check out Microsoft.com/stories and BrandingStrategyInsider.com. Also, welcome to our new sponsor, iOgrapher. Create better video. At iOgrapher, they create accessories for your mobile device to help you make professional videos. Learn more about all the products we use at DFM to make our social videos at iOgrapher.com. All right, we have a new feature here on DFM that we're super excited to debut for you. We are unapologetic book nerds and are always on the lookout for new books. So we thought, hey, let's do a segment for cool stuff to read. So here we go.
And now, DFM presents... Do you even read, bro?
It's called reading. Top to bottom, left to right. Group words together as a sentence.
Book reviews for disruptive minds.
New Dark Age, Technology and the End of the Future by James Brittle. A little about the author. Brittle is an artist, writer, and publisher based in London. He coined the term New Aesthetic. His work deals with the ways in which the digital networked world reaches into the physical, offline one. His work has explored aspects of the Western security apparatus, including drones and asylum seeker deportation. Brittle has written for Wired, Icon, Domus, Cabinet, The Atlantic, and many other publications, and writes a regular column for the Observer newspaper on publishing and technology. Here's my summary. As the world around us increases in technological complexity, our understanding of it diminishes. Underlying this trend is a single idea, the belief that our existence is understandable through computation, and more data is enough to help us build a better world. In actual fact, we are lost in a sea of information, increasingly divided by fundamentalism, simplistic narratives, conspiracy theories, and post-factual politics. Meanwhile, those in power use our lack of understanding to further their own interests. Despite the accessibility of information, we're living in a new dark age. From rogue financial systems to shopping algorithms, from artificial intelligence to state secrecy, we no longer understand how our world is governed or presented to us. The media is filled with unverifiable speculation, and much of it generated by anonymous software, while companies dominate their employees through surveillance and the threat of automation. In his brilliant new work, leading artist and writer James Brittle excavates the limits of technology and how it aids our understanding of the world. Surveying the history of art, technology, and information systems, He explores the dark clouds that gather over our dreams of the digital sublime. New Dark Age by James Brittle, out now wherever good books are sold. Okay, time to take a look at some simmering stories that are starting to heat up. It's a segment we call On the Radar.
Here's what's on our radar. Number 1.
The San Francisco Bay Area is still the reigning king of venture capital investment, with some $140 billion in startup funding since 2012. But when it comes to investment growth, a lot of the action is outside the United States. Cities in Europe and Asia are gaining steam. The next global VC investment hub will likely be in China, with Beijing and Shanghai emerging as likely contenders.
Number 2.
The U.S. Chamber of Commerce estimates the federal government would need to offer $39 billion in aid to compensate industries that are suffering losses tied to President Trump's tariffs. The auto industry would need $7.6 billion alone. The White House has already set aside $12 billion to help U.S. farmers during the trade war. There's likely to be pressure put on the Trump administration to extend aid to other industries if the trade war continues into the midterm elections.
Number 3.
Lifestyle and fashion startups targeting millennial customers face difficulty retaining business. Free trials or coupon codes to get a millennial spender in the door only goes so far. On average, a company has a 32% chance of retaining a customer after their first purchase. Although there have been some successes, notably challenged millennial-targeted startups have included Blue Apron, which the company's stock has tanked since the company went public last year, Grabble, a mobile shopping app folded in July after being unable to deliver on creating a viable commerce platform, and MoviePass. The company ran out of cash last week and it has had to take out a $5 million loan to stay afloat. It appears that not only are companies founded by millennials unloyal to their employees, but we now too can say consumers of millennial brands are unloyal as well. All right, that's it for another episode of DFM. Lucky number 13. Big thanks to Melissa Rosenthal of Cheddar for joining us. You can connect with us by following me on Twitter or Instagram at DJGEOFFE. Follow Disruptive FM on Twitter or Instagram at Disruptive FM. And you can read more in-depth content via our 3 sponsors, Microsoft.com/stories, BrandingStrategyInsider.com, and iographer.com. Next week, oh yeah, Matt Britton, Mr. Youth himself. Join us. Matt is America's foremost authority on millennials. You don't want to miss that. It's going to be a good one. All right, for everyone here at DFM, thanks for spending some time with us. I'm Jeffrey Colon. We'll catch you next week.
You've been listening to Disruptive FM with Microsoft Communications designer Jeffrey Colon. All thoughts are his own. Disruptive FM is produced in Los Angeles by Feeler Media.